Hey there! I wanted to talk to you guys tonight a little bit about dementia and the power of validation and redirection. So if you've worked with the dementia population, you know that there are several different levels or stages rather that the person with dementia could be in cognitively. So some people may have mild issues with memory and things of that nature, and then others are very disconnected to the same kind of orientation that we are connected to. So, you might come across somebody who is constantly saying the quote unquote wrong thing. They think that they're somewhere that they're not, or they think that they've had an interaction with a family member that maybe that family member is no longer with us, or they're, thousands of miles away. So it couldn't be true. And our first reaction, just as human beings, our first reaction when something is wrong, we want to correct it. We want to be helpful and correct them and give them the right information. But that's not always helpful. It's actually rarely helpful with the person with dementia. They are oftentimes not able to have the same type of reasoning skills and ability to follow along with that correction that you're trying to give them. So a good way to get around that and then move on with the care that you're trying to provide is to validate what they're saying and then redirect them away from it. So a really, really good example of this was given to me a while back, and I wish I could take credit for this. I wish I was the PT that did this. But I was told of a story of a PT who worked in a long-term care facility who went in to see her person with dementia. And they were in bed, they were going to get them up, get them walking, have their session, and then move on. And the PT went into the room holding, just holding in her hand a gait belt. And it was like one of those black vinyl gait belts. So she walked into the room, and the patient was very startled and very taken aback. And she said, "Oh my gosh, a snake!" And the PT brilliantly, immediately dropped the gait belt. Ran out of the room, got a pillowcase, scooped up the gait belt like it was a snake, ran out of the room, and then came back into the room, introduced herself, and they were able to move on with her session. Now, I would have never thought to do that. My first instinct to her would have been like, no, this isn't a snake. This is a gait belt. This is something that we're going to use for therapy. Now, if I were to do that, that would not convince this person with dementia. They would continuously insist that it was a snake, and it could have increased her anxiety, made her afraid of me and the equipment that I was using, and it just would have turned out badly. So it was really smart of this PT to, recognize that it's not always important for us to be right, and it's not always important for us to give, correct information, depending on the circumstance. So she validated that this person was thinking there was a snake in the room. She removed it from the situation, and then she was able to redirect that person onto the session that they were trying to have. So another good example is, if a patient is pretty ambulatory and they're walking around, and you might need to have a session with them or provide care to them, and they're sitting out in the hall and they will not move, and you come to find out that they're waiting for the bus so that they can get home. So that would be a good way for, me as a PT. I could say, what, I don't think there's a bus stop here. Why don't we walk down the hall? So I'm not necessarily agreeing with him that, there is or isn't a bus stop, but I'm validating what he is thinking is reality. And then I'm trying to redirect him onto, whatever the next task is or whatever the next thing is. So, I do want to point out too that validation does not mean that you embellish on what they are perceiving as reality. So if somebody said to me, why are you holding that bunny? That's, why do you have a bunny in here? I wouldn't be like, oh, this bunny? Well, what color is it? Is it a white bunny? Is it a brown bunny? You wouldn't embellish and, bring them through more of a, false sense of reality. I could just say something like, oh, aren't bunnies so cute? Aren't they so soft? you know, I love bunnies. I always like seeing them out in the forest, or, you know, whatever you want to say. Talk about bunnies because they're seeing a bunny. But don't, you know, try to, you know, embellish on what they're saying and ask them questions about it, and, you know, just make it more of a grander thing than it has to be. So I hope this was helpful, and just let me know if you have any questions or any other comments or any experiences that you may have had working with similar situations. Thanks.